Picture this. The Sahara Desert, that endless sea of sand filled with scorching heat, deadly conditions, and absolute emptiness. But what if I told you that just 5,000 years ago, this wasteland was a lush green paradise? Before we unveil these incredible treasures of the past, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Trust me, you don't want to miss the ancient mysteries we're about to reveal. Here's the mind-bending question that has puzzled archaeologists for decades. How could the world's largest desert have once been home to a thriving civilization that lived in complete isolation for 7,000 years? And what happened to these mysterious people who seemed to vanish without a trace? Our story begins in the 1930s when a Hungarian explorer was making his way through a remote cave in the Sahara. What he discovered inside would challenge everything we know about this barren landscape. Ancient rock paintings showed people swimming happily in lakes surrounded by giraffes, hippos, and crocodiles. At the time, everyone dismissed these as symbolic representations. How could anyone imagine a lake existing in this waterless wasteland? But fellow explorers, this was just the beginning of one of archaeology's greatest mysteries. Now let me take you on an incredible journey back in time. Close your eyes and imagine the Sahara 5,000 years ago. Instead of endless dunes, picture vast green meadows stretching to the horizon. Crystal clear lakes reflect the bright sun while winding rivers carry fresh water through lush landscapes. This was truly a lost paradise on Earth. But here's what will absolutely amaze you. About 70 years after that first discovery, a team of archaeologists in Libya made a find that would rewrite history. Hidden in a rocky shelter, they uncovered 15 naturally mummified bodies surrounded by everyday objects, baskets, pottery, and tools of daily life. These weren't just random discoveries, ancient seekers. These mummies were over 7,000 years old, some of the oldest naturally preserved humans ever found. And two of these incredible specimens still contained readable DNA, preserved by the unique conditions of their desert tomb. Pay attention to this incredible revelation. When scientists finally analyzed the complete genome of these ancient people, they discovered something that defied all expectations. These individuals belonged to a completely unknown human lineage that had lived in total isolation from the rest of humanity for thousands of years. For decades, researchers assumed that the Green Sahara was like a prehistoric highway, a green corridor that humans and animals used to migrate between African savannas and the Mediterranean. But these mummies shattered this theory completely. The genetic data revealed absolutely no mixing with migrants from sub-Saharan regions or Eurasians. Their DNA remained pure for 7,000 years. And here's the truly mind-blowing part. Their closest genetic relatives weren't their immediate neighbors, but ancient hunter-gatherers from Morocco, and even people who lived in what is now the Czech Republic 50,000 years ago. But wait, fellow time detectives, it gets even more mysterious. Scientists found traces of Neanderthal DNA in these mummies, but only about 10% of the amount typically found in modern Eurasians. Now, if you've studied biology, you know that Neanderthals lived mainly in Europe and Asia, and early humans only mixed with them after migrating out of Africa. Here's the puzzling question. These Green Sahara people never left Africa, so how did they get Neanderthal genes? The leading theory suggests their ancestors mixed with Neanderthals in North Africa about 50,000 years ago before settling in the desert and completely cutting off contact with the outside world. Archaeological evidence reveals that these mysterious people weren't just surviving, they were thriving. Scientists found bones of domestic animals and tools made from stone and wood, proving these people were running a flourishing pastoral civilization right in the heart of what would become the world's largest desert. This discovery made scientists think long and hard. Animal domestication generally didn't develop in isolation in Africa. So how did they learn to tame cattle and manage herds if they never communicated with anyone else? The researchers believe they may have exchanged knowledge with neighboring groups, but only on the level of information sharing. No genetic mixing, no marriages, no integration with outsiders. It's hard to believe they never mingled with anyone from the outside world. Why didn't they intermarry with strangers? Perhaps it was a cultural decision, avoiding contact with representatives of other groups. Or maybe the landscape itself created conditions for isolation. Scientists believe the dense forests and rivers that existed in the Green Sahara acted like a natural do not enter sign, creating a geographical barrier that kept out animals, plants, and entire communities. This isolation is why these people's genes were so incredibly unique. They never exchanged genetic material with anyone else. But we must note that this genetic time capsule barely survived the harsh realities of climate change. Here's something that will absolutely fascinate you. This cycle of transformation between green paradise and desert has occurred in the Sahara more than 230 times since its formation. During one of these shifts, the Sahara even became larger than it is today. The story begins 15,000 years ago, when Earth shook off the grip of the Ice Age. Our planet's axis tilted, creating unusual climatic conditions. The northern hemisphere moved closer to the sun's rays, receiving extra doses of light and heat. This permanent summer turned North Africa into a massive moisture magnet, pulling water from the Atlantic and forcing it to fall as rain on the desert. The result was a green savanna with lakes that could rival the size of small countries. But every 20,000 years, the Sahara's climate swung between wet and dry periods, creating an uncertain future. But don't rush to conclude this was the perfect place to live, fellow explorers. This paradise had its own special dangers. The Sahara became an ecological maze filled with crocodile-infested rivers, malaria-carrying mosquitoes, and large predators lurking in the tall grass. Crossing this region was like participating in a real game of survival, where you had to be careful with every step. Perhaps this is why other groups didn't settle here for long periods. For many ancient humans, it made more sense to treat the Green Sahara like a buffet, gather resources, and leave before the desert returned. But our mysterious herders had 10,000 years to multiply and thrive. Then about 5,000 years ago, Earth's axis shifted again. The rains retreated, and the desert dried up faster than a puddle in peak summer heat. With the return of the desert, the herders who had previously flourished in the Green Sahara had no choice but to gather their flocks and leave. Some researchers believe they migrated to the Nile, paving the way for ancient Egypt, so perhaps their legacy lives on. The introverted mummies weren't the only ones who used the Green Sahara as a comfortable place to live. They actually had close neighbors in a lakeside village in Niger. These people lived there for 5,000 years and left behind the oldest cemetery in the Sahara, a unique necropolis that included a human buried in a turtle shell, a smiling man with polished teeth, and a touching family embrace frozen in time. These people were also victims of the changing climate that affected their health and well-being. Later, these people also disappeared, just like our introverted friends. All of this confirms that the Sahara is more cunning than we can imagine, creating landscapes that take paradise away with one action and restore it with another. The study of places like the Sahara makes us not only contemplate the past, but also helps us understand how life on Earth has changed through time. Perhaps this helps us realize the importance of preserving ecological balance and the necessity of seeking sustainable solutions that ensure harmonious coexistence between humans and nature. Fellow time travelers, this incredible journey through the Green Sahara shows us that our planet holds secrets we're only beginning to understand. These mysterious herders lived in isolation for millennia, creating a unique genetic legacy that survived against all odds. What do you think about this amazing discovery? Could there be other lost civilizations hidden beneath the world's deserts? Share your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more archaeological adventures that will transport you through the corridors of time. Next week, we're traveling to the mysterious civilization of the Indus Valley, where we'll uncover cities with advanced drainage systems that modern engineers still can't fully understand. Until then, keep exploring the